More developments in the Brock Lesnar WWE UFC situation. News on the Intercontinental Championship match at WrestleMania. Fastlane's main event takes a completely different course after last night's SmackDown and is a Super Bowl participant on his way to WWE. This is PWR Tonight for Wednesday, February 28, 2018. Hello, wrestling fans. Damian Nelson coming to you here from the Pro Wrestling Report studios. Thank you for joining us wherever you may be all around the world for tonight's edition of PWR Tonight. I want to remind all of you to subscribe to the show right here on YouTube so that you never miss an episode. In hot news tonight, big news coming out of SmackDown last night as John Cena did make his presence known and is now a participant in the Fastlane main event. It's now a six-way match. A lot of people in that matchup come Fastlane as John Cena defeated AJ Styles in a non-title matchup to qualify to now be a participant and potentially go on the road to WrestleMania in the SmackDown side of things. Now, that's very interesting because of what we talked about here last night with the Undertaker situation. More reports coming out today that the Undertaker is actually less and less likely to have a match at WrestleMania. I said yesterday that I felt that would be the case, but it is appearing that perhaps there is some doubt because ESPN reporter, whose name escapes me right now, so I'm giving credit, but forgetting to give complete credit, it'll pop to me later in the episode, I'm sure, has reported today and yesterday that Rey Mysterio actually has continued in talks with WWE since his surprise Royal Rumble return, and he may be the opponent for John Cena at WrestleMania. I think what's happening on the SmackDown side of things, and they got a couple extra 100,000 viewers last night over their prior week rating, is that this is all occurring to draw more eyes to the SmackDown side of the product. And John Cena is a man who delivers on all fronts when it comes to ratings and television from the WWE. So, could be a number of things, folks. John Cena, Taker, still potentially on the table. John Cena involved in the World Heavyweight Championship situation at WrestleMania, still on the table. John Cena going up against Rey Mysterio. I'm having difficulty processing that matchup. Two amazing competitors, but seems like a bit of a mismatch. But I guess Rey's always been in those situations in his matchups. Time will tell over the course of the next few weeks. And after Fastlane next weekend, I believe it is, we'll know a lot more as it pertains to that. I'm going to be lucky enough to be at the Go Home SmackDown in Green Bay, Wisconsin on Tuesday for Fastlane. So look for some updates from us at on our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/PWR show, facebook.com/PWR show. We pop on to Facebook Live occasionally, especially when we are at live events, to bring you a live event perspective live on Facebook, facebook.com/PWR show. We talked yesterday about the story and the development surrounding Brock Lesnar and his contract in WWE reported to be ending after WrestleMania, and time has begun again for new negotiations. On Sunday, we talked about the picture that was tweeted out by UFC's Dana White about Brock Lesnar, with Brock Lesnar rather, and now it's being thought that perhaps Brock Lesnar does want to indeed get that last run in UFC, and his swan song could be against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. I still think there's a 50-50 chance of this being a work versus being a shoot, and thank you for your comments last night on that. Most of you think this is a work, and that's probably a fair assessment, but Brock could certainly be on his way back to UFC. UFC's been suffering not only on pay-per-views, but on their ratings on Fox, and having another marquee name such as Brock Lesnar back would help them in their regard. So I wouldn't say that never is never. As we know, CM Punk coming back to UFC, Dana White saying that he would engage or explore the opportunity for CM Punk to be in his second fight. I understand they're also doing an event from Chicago is UFC later this year, so that would be the perfect scenario for him. And perhaps Brock Lesnar also a participant on that card. We'll see what happens, but this could end up being, as some of you pointed out on our show yesterday, another WrestleMania 20 situation. Remember, it was Brock versus, gosh dang, who was it? Goldberg. I don't know where that went. Stone Cold Steve Austin was a special guest referee, and the match, for whatever it was the second most important thing happening because the fans were basically done with both men because they knew going into that both men were on their way out of the company afterwards. So this could be, and finally could be, the way that Roman Reigns gets over by Brock Lesnar leaving WWE, because the fans will turn on Brock if he goes back to UFC very, very swiftly, and this could end up being a very good long-term scenario for WWE. I think you have to ask yourself, how much longer is Brock Lesnar that guy in WWE? How much longer? It's been 5 years now, 6 years actually. He came back in 2012. That he will have been there, and has that novelty worn off? You could argue either way, but it is a valid question to ask, and perhaps it will all be answered at WrestleMania. Speaking of WrestleMania, last year at WrestleMania, we saw a participant of the New England Patriots, Rob Gronkowski, involve himself in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal event, or match at that event. And now it is being said that he is potentially WWE bound. He has been asked some questions and gave some not very committed answers to whether or not he is going to continue his career in the NFL. And as we know, he's a wrestling fan. He's been used by WWE a couple of times. He has a great relationship with Mojo Rawley as well. And Gronk, if you will, I think he's got some charisma. He's got some spunk. He's got a great look. I think he'd be a good addition to the company if we were to see him join the ranks of World Wrestling Entertainment. And he is, I guess, he is a WrestleMania alumni, you could say, folks, Rob Gronkowski. So we'll keep you posted here as the weeks progress and as stories and news develop on that. Now, maybe, just maybe, this is a stretch. We're not talking about it much, but we are 2 years away now, a year and a half away now from the relaunch of the XFL. Maybe this is the beginning of that. Who knows? Several opportunities exist if they are wanted. And finally, folks, the Intercontinental Championship took shape. We talked about it last night on PWR Tonight. Well, now more reports are could be a bit of a suffrage, are surfacing about the participants in the matchup and who might be going after Miz's Intercontinental Championship. And last night I asked, what does Braun Strowman do at WrestleMania if he is not thrown into the main event with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns? Now, with the reports of the last 24 hours, it seems less likely, quite frankly, that that's going to be the case. Some are saying there was an initial rumored match between The Miz and Braun Strowman at Mania. Now they are saying it could be up to as many as 5 people participating in the match, including Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Elias, Braun Strowman, and The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship. That would be fun, but it would also be a cluster because you just got so many men in the ring. And that's what I'm sort of thinking about this Fastlane event, too, main event as well, is you're just going to have so much going on that it's going to be very difficult to follow. It could be exciting, but it's going to be difficult to follow, folks. So that is today's news. Thank you very much for joining us. I want to remind you to grab the subscription of our show here on YouTube and also our podcast. It's blogtalkradio.com/PWR, blogtalkradio.com/PWR. You can catch up on all these editions of PWR Tonight. You can take us with you on the go, whether it be to work, to the gym, to school, wherever it may be. You can get your daily digest of professional wrestling news and opinion from the Pro Wrestling Report. So, thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you on our socials. In the meantime and in between time, we'll be back with you again tomorrow with our final edition of PWR Tonight for the week.